Charter Local Edition. Brad Pomerance here. We are joined by the new Dean of the College of Science at Cal Poly Pomona, right down the road actually. And I congratulate you, Dean Alison Baski. Welcome to Southern California. What made you decide to come out to Cal Poly?
Well, first of all, thanks for the invitation.
Of course.
Great to be here.
Of course.
And I did just come 4 months ago, and there were a number of reasons I came here. Probably 3 things for Cal Poly. One, it's a polytechnic, as you know.
And what does that mean? Give us a sense of what that means.
Yeah, and that's actually something for the strategic plan, looking at what is a polytechnic.
Yeah, right.
So it's distinctive. There are only about a dozen polytechnics in the United States right now. And in the CSU system, you know, there are 2 of the 23, SLO and us. And when you ask someone or look it up or Google it, polytechnic usually means there's a large STEM footprint.
Okay.
So you will have a relatively large college of engineering and science.
Got it.
And here at Cal Poly Pomona, if you add up the number of students, is about 10,000 students of roughly 24,000.
Okay.
And of course, there are the other colleges, and poly meaning you've got the other professional colleges or schools, right? And a strong liberal arts training, because a scientist or an engineer without training in the humanities, I think that's really important.
Okay.
Then I have to give you a random fact.
I love random facts. I'm that guy.
That Albert Einstein went to a polytechnic.
Really? In Austria, Germany, Switzerland?
Actually, it was in Switzerland.
Okay.
It's called the ETH Zurich now.
Right.
And at the time when he enrolled, it was in the late 1800s. I have to look down
to say
this correctly.
Go.
The Eidgenössische Polytechnische Schule.
You speak German?
Ein bisschen.
Okay.
My husband is German.
Oh, perfect.
But that's the Federal Polytechnic School.
Right.
So I never knew that.
See, I love irrelevant facts. I'm all about irrelevant facts.
So the one most well-known physicist, and since I am a physicist.
You are a physicist yourself.
Yes.
So that's the first reason. What are the other 2 reasons?
So another reason is, of course, you know, they have learn by doing.
Yeah.
And
explain that. That's another thing I'd like to understand.
Okay, so my own experience learn by doing, because I'm an experimentalist in physics, is that really getting in there and doing things. I, starting from high school even, was doing projects. And at Cal Poly Pomona, there are a large number of laboratories the students take in both science and engineering, and strongly encouraged to do undergraduate research with faculty or to do internships or co-ops with companies in the area.
Right, which is fantastic given the location of Cal Poly with the Inland Empire, LA County, everything's right there.
Spectacular. I mean, there are more than 17 million people in this metropolitan area, so you have that opportunity. Unlike, say, at SLO, where you're not in a large metropolitan area.
Third reason.
The third is it's a highly diverse campus.
Explain that.
Yes. So I came from a diverse campus before.
Virginia Commonwealth.
I really value that. And at Cal Poly Pomona, it's about 40% Hispanic, maybe 25% Asian. And so there it's known as an HSI, Hispanic Serving Institution. And I'm very committed to trying to diversify the workforce in STEM fields.
So let's talk about what diversity means in STEM, because when you talk about diversity, that could be ethnic, it could also be gender.
Oh, yes.
And the reality is, and we've talked about this on the show before, that the STEM field traditionally has had difficulty attracting women.
Yes,
is that fair?
I completely agree.
So what are you doing, Madam Dean of 4 months, to attract people of all colors and sizes and shapes and genders?
Yes. Well, certainly in a leadership position, I hope I am signaling to the female students that this is a very welcoming field, all of the degrees we have in the College of Science.
I would mention that you are the first female dean of the College of Science at Cal Poly Pomona.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Exciting.
Although one could say, what took so long?
Yes.
But who cares? We're glad you're there.
And I realized I was actually the first female to graduate from my PhD advisors group, too. There were about a dozen guys in that group. I was the first woman there. So I guess I'm just doing the same.
But isn't that interesting, though, that in our lifetimes, we are still seeing groundbreakers?
Oh, yes.
You know, and it's inspiring. It really is. And I hope that you are able to appreciate your contribution to the advances of women or whatever it may be.
And I think in particular, you know, some women, they will just forge forward, and that's fine. You just sink or swim. That was what the message I was given. But that shouldn't be the message for any student, that we should try to support them in any manner possible. And that culture of, you can do this with sufficient effort if this is what energizes you.
But I do want to know, I mean, look, Cal Poly Pomona has quite a reputation, especially in the sciences. So any student that's in your college, likely pretty darn bright and gifted before they even get there. So talk to me about supporting that type of student, regardless of color or gender or whatever it may be.
Well, in general, all students who are coming through our doors, yes, they had to meet the mark. Actually, some of the disciplines or majors are impacted, so it can be even more, you know, competitive to come in. But even if you do that, when you come to college, it's a little bit different than high school, right? And the topics you're covering. And some students may not have had to work as hard in high school to achieve, so it's kind of understanding there is effort involved here in a college class. You may only go to class for a few hours a week, but the expectation is outside class you need to work. So that's one of the very important, what I call non-cognitive skills to understand, is how important the effort is. And then how do you build an outside class, or how you're teaching in class, make it a more collaborative learning environment?
So what would you say to maybe my daughter, who's a 9th grader taking physics, or any other child who may be interested in STEM? What do you say to the future STEM students of California and America?
Well, I hope anyone, regardless if they're going into STEM, wants to learn about science and engineering, because our society is becoming increasingly technological to understand what is going on with your cell phone and other things in your computers in the cloud. If you want to go into STEM, I'd say there are two traits that someone should have. Is one, to be curious. If you don't want to ask questions about your world, then it may not be a great fit. And second is to be very persistent, because it takes a lot of effort to answer those questions, right?
The grit that we read about.
Yes, the grit, precisely, how important that is. And then, of course, when you're in school, if you're in K-12, just keep taking as many math and science courses as you can, and try to do projects. You know, I just was walking through the neighborhood this past weekend, and in the driveway there were 2 high school kids putting together the big trebuchet, you know, to launch. So this thing was 6 foot tall with the parents there. And so we stopped. My husband's a physicist.
He is as well.
We started talking to the parents. And it's just a learning experience. They had it all perfect. And then apparently they didn't know they had to do 3 different angles or something for launching.
Well, I was telling you, we got one of those mini Segways. And we live on a small hill. And my daughter informed me, you know, the physics student, that I should not go down the hill with a Segway, because she was talking about force and energy and something, and I lost her. But I was thrilled to have lost her, because it just shows that the knowledge is sinking in.
Exactly.
And it has real world experience. Whether she becomes a physicist or a Spanish, you know, interpreter, who knows? It still matters.
And I think all of these disciplines are important, and the interstitials between them. That is where society will start moving ahead, when you have the physicists talking with the doctors, And that's the exciting part to me.
I have to say, I am so honored to have met you. I get starstruck by meeting deans and presidents of colleges, so I'm so glad that you could be here. Just kind of the nerd that I am, and I know that Cal Poly Pomona is in great shape with you at the helm of the Science College. Her name is Dean Alison Baski. She just joined Cal Poly Pomona from the state of Virginia. My name is Brad Pomerance. We are coming to you from the San Gabriel Valley. You're watching us on Charter Local Edition.